right, we're rolling.
We're rolling.
Ellie Dab, we're rolling. Hey, y'all. Welcome back to another exciting episode of Life on the Ave. This is episode 85 coming at you. Periodically, my wife and I like to get on here and just go ahead and give a little life update. So
yeah, I like to say this is a little time capsule of our life. So I think the internet's pretty much forever, from what I understand. So someday our kids will be able to look back and watch this and be like, oh, look, here's our parents at 32. Tired. As I rub my eyes.
Wifey's tired. Husband's on one.
That's why I'm tired.
I'm wearing you out.
Literally.
But yeah, we absolutely love doing this podcast. I definitely want to start off by giving my flowers to my wife. She has definitely taken this and run with it. So shout out to her and Patrick putting this together. This is a ton of work that goes on behind the scenes. You know, we set a goal when we were doing this and when we were doing our marketing, you know, hey, our first 100 are going to be rough. And I think, you know, our first 25 were rough.
Maybe our first 15.
Yeah. First 15 to 25. But you know, as with anything in life, like you got to start, you know, you don't get to 100 without, you know, hitting numbers 1, 10, 15, 20, 25.
1 to 99.
Along the way, right? Yeah. So 1 to 99. So this thing's up and rolling and it's got some serious legs here. So
and we still make mistakes. We mess up the sound, the video, whatever. We're making mistakes every time, but we get better each episode.
We're human. Yeah. So nothing perfect there. So we have a handful of topics here today. So we're going to get a live reaction. I sent this email the other day.
I didn't read it.
And my wife didn't read it. So if you want to open up your text message, you can see some of the topics I wrote down. And you can choose what our first topic is of the day.
All right. Sounds good. I'm looking at them right now. I think we should start out with life updates, general life updates. That's topic number 7 on here. Actually, it's 6 and 8.
Do you want to start?
Life updates. No, you can start.
We can start. So one of the big things that I feel about anything, it's a quote that I've heard recently and have really, you know, embodied it. You know, hey, if you're 90% in, you're 100% out. So this is what we're doing. We're in this, you know, real estate game every single day. So big life update for the Garmans is the Garmans are moving.
We're moving.
Ooh.
We are moving. We're very excited to be moving.
Mm-hmm.
More bedrooms, more space. Just excited to grow our family, grow our life. New
We're
scenery.
not pregnant.
No, we're not currently growing our family, but we would like the potential to grow our family, and we felt kind of strapped in our current house. So we made the decision to start looking. We contemplated a lot of different moves. Do we go for the forever home, the short-term home? Is this an investment? We kind of honed in on somewhere in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's the fairest way to say.
Yeah.
We didn't go into it thinking, oh, this is going to be a great rental property someday. And that's the first time we've changed our mindset for that. So we didn't go into it thinking it was a rental property. But we also didn't go into it like this is our forever home either.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We in real estate, especially what we do. So the vast majority of our business is helping out what I refer to as, you know, normal mom and pop buyers and sellers, right? We do a ton of investment business as well too, both personally and for clients. And one of the beauties about real estate is you can purchase a piece of property and, you know, both get a business use out of it and a personal use out of it. So with this one though, it's definitely more so geared personal.
For the first time, it's more personal than business, which has been nice.
Yeah. And we're super blessed. We have a shore house in Sea Isle City that we own with my parents. So super blessed to be able to utilize that. But that was definitely, you know, taken with an investment mindset as, you know, hey, we just need to get on base down here.
Yeah, and we're running it out.
And, you know, we looked down there for about 3 years and seriously looked, you know, for about a year before, you know, getting that one. Mm-hmm. And this one, you know, is definitely more personal in the sense of I would say this conversation, we're always looking, whenever houses come up, you know, we always look and whenever we look at a property, we take that, I put myself in a buyer's shoes, hey, what would I think about this property? Where's the location at? How's the parking? You know, does it need upgrades? Does it give me a warm, fuzzy feeling? Do I feel like I'm going to walk into a bunch of issues here? You know, So we definitely like take, a buyer mentality whenever we're looking at real estate. But I would say it really started in like April is like when the seeds were planted. My wife and I sat down and we went ahead and had a conversation about my boy Patrick is heating up over here.
It's hot in here. It's hot in here.
Is it hot in here? I think it feels great.
It's hot in here.
77 degrees out today. Rocking the shorts, showing off the little thigh action. But back to the topic at hand. Like we seriously started talking in April about this. We had some other things going on in our life. You guys have, if you're watching this, you most likely know about our other investment property that we bought, which we can, get into some updates there as well too. But we had some other things to clear up, had to finish out the year, had to get our, taxes filed, et cetera, et cetera. So, there's a lot of pieces to the puzzle that you have to go ahead and put together. And like we put those pieces of the puzzle together for our clients, sometimes in a day, like the whole thing's ready and like we're the missing piece, the last piece to come in and be like, yep, yeah, we got you. Right. So with this, it was definitely a 6 to, it's going to be a 6 to 12 month journey. Basically it's been, a year just about. With this, we did the same thing that we do with all of our clients. Like we came up with a wish list and like a must-have list, and that included,
the 80-10-10.
Yeah, the 80-10-10 rule. So a house that meets, 8 out of 10 of your boxes, 10% of the stuff you can live with, and 10% of the stuff you can update over time. So we considered location. We considered moving to PA. We considered, North Wilmington. Ultimately, what we came back to was our roots. Like we've built
We're not ready to leave Trolley.
No, yeah. We built a great business here. We're super excited to be Kid Shalene's heads. We're moving closer to some of our favorite places that we frequent. Dunkin' Donuts is going to be getting a lot more business from us.
I don't think they can get much more from
But, we found a house that checks all of our boxes. So, check the bedroom box. We're super excited to be working with a phenomenal builder on the other side. So shout out Frankie Bromwell and Andrew Ogden, Bromwell Construction. Super blessed to be able to have those guys in our corner. It's been fantastic to, do a real estate project and not be involved in it.
Literally.
Not be involved in it.
They asked us like, oh, do you want to pick your cabinets or pick your whatever? And I'm like, we sell houses. We don't design them.
No, right.
So I'm like, you have a designer. Let her do that.
Yep. Yeah. So Frankie initially was going to make this a 3-bed, 2.5 bath. And we were totally cool with the first floor layout. Like that was good. And I remember we were sitting in Sea City on Mary Kate's birthday. It was just us two down there. We were sitting at the Orr House. And we were talking about houses. We had looked at a couple houses in Garnet Valley. We're always in and out of houses in the 19806 in North Wilmington area.
19803, 19810.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we, said, all right, like, what about?
We can blur out the address.
Yeah. All right. Well, what about Frankie's house? So.
Note for Patrick.
Yeah, note for Patrick. Blurred out that there. But we had circled back to Frankie's house that he was working on. We saw it in October for the first time. And it had always been, in the back of our mind, but we didn't want to do a 3-bedroom. So we asked him to redraw the plans, and he made it a 4-bedroom. He gave us a handful of options, and he said, hey, if I was doing this, like, this is the one I would do. And he had some consulting from Mr. Stephen Matola on that. So we shout out Stephen, really appreciate him putting in his 2 cents. And it's been amazing to watch the house go from, a house down to the studs and be built back up. So
yep.
He's got, good subs over there. Everybody's working. So subs are subcontractors. So it's super cool. We stop by the house, at least like once a week just to do a quick little walkthrough. And, to see, a full-scale construction project under construction was a beautiful thing to watch. So to watch, the HVAC and the electrical and the plumbing go in, and then the drywall, watching the guys finish the drywall, watching them put the tub in, watching them, paint the house, watching the siding go on. So it's been an awesome project. So.
Yeah. You want to tell them any more about our address, where it is?
We're blurting out the address part.
Okay.
So, but yeah, you guys will know because it's the dopest house on the block. So.
Nice. Yeah. So exciting things with our life updates. You have some other things listed for life updates. If you want to go, feel free to share.
I would say this is wherever you want to take it. So,
Yeah.
what do you want to ask me about, or what do you want to talk about?
DMA lacrosse.
DMA lacrosse, go Seahawks, baby. So, the game of lacrosse has been phenomenal to me. Lacrosse is referred to as the medicine game. So Native Americans played lacrosse, and they used it as like a war style game, and they called it the medicine game, and they played for the creator. And the game of lacrosse has definitely given me, some serious medicine over the years. So it's given me some phenomenal relationships, some super highs of highs and some lows of lows. But all the while, like ever since I was 14 years old and went to the Haverford School, lacrosse has been a part of my life. And was super blessed to, play the game at a high level, and then, give back to the game through coaching. So I've been coaching since, I was 18, 19 years old. I got a phenomenal start in coaching. I still I consider one of my coaches one of my best friends, Mark Petrone. I talk to Coach Petrone, periodically, and, love anytime I get a chance to get some, FaceTime with MP. So moving to Delaware was a little bit different. I didn't know, what I was going to get into. Was super blessed to start my coaching career in Delaware at Mount Pleasant with a good friend, Frank Kerwood. Followed him over to Concord. Life got a little bit busy the last couple of years with a couple of kiddos. So I stayed in touch, with lacrosse through stringing sticks. So if anybody out there needs a stick strung, just let me know. You know where to come. And I have a good friend, Ty Morrell, who took over the head coaching job at DMA last year. And I'm super grateful that my wife, gave us the blessing. So I get to go down to DMA once a week and run a practice for these guys. It keeps me close to the game, keeps me involved. And my wife likes to say, I get out some testosterone. I get out some yelling out there.
Yeah, I think being in real estate, especially, sometimes we take heat from clients all day long, and you handle most times with poise and take it on the chin. So I think it's a healthy way to get out some of that, not anger, because I don't think you're angry, but testosterone is probably the best word.
Yeah. And like what that looks like in practice is like I go down there and I start off. I've done 3 practices thus far. And I start off and I tell these guys, I'm like, look, my time's valuable. And like, when we're down here, we're working for 2 hours. Like we're not dilly-dallying around. We're not, slacking off in the back of line sort of deal. Like, we're doing drills where everyone's participating. Everyone's getting a ton of reps. We're rolling out second, third ball. And it's okay to make mistakes. You're going to make mistakes. There's turnovers are going to happen. Bad plays are going to happen. You need to get back up and go get that next play. So, we're working it. We're building a program over here at DMA. It's tough. We don't necessarily have a feeder program, and DMA is still a relatively new school. So right now the Seahawks were 0-3, but we're working it. So, my mom's a high school coach. It takes a lot of time, effort, and energy to run a team, and I know my mom brings in a lot of outside consultants to like run a practice, and so. Like the other coaches on the staff, I hope, I'm teaching them something as well too. So that way their practices, Tuesday through Saturday, are run at a more high level sort of deal. So, Coach Patrone taught me, like you got to come prepared. So like the guys, I'm in the group chat with the guys, they get the practice plan. So that way they know, hey, here's the groupings, here's the guys, who's on what team, offenses in this color, defenses in that color. Here's the drills that we're working through. And all the drills are going to build up, to when we finish in that, 6-on-6, like full field scrimmage. We're able to implement stuff that we did from 5:30 to 6:30 into that like full team practice. So
good. DMA lax. Love to see it. Mm-hmm. So the spring market is here. We are full steam ahead. We are busy at the Garman Group. How are we feeling about the spring market and all things real estate?
Cool. Spring market, it's popping right now. It's popping. So, we're licensed 2 states, Delaware, Pennsylvania. Southeastern Pennsylvania is consistently voted, one of the top areas to live, proximity to Philadelphia, proximity to vacation spots, New York City, DC. And, in terms of affordability, it's not in that DC metro and it's not in that New York City metro where, you still can get some affordability, some bang for your buck. Delaware is definitely included in that, specifically the areas that we work in, the northern Wilmington, western Wilmington, Hockessin, Newark, Pike Creek, and then, the city of Wilmington neighborhoods that we work. So what I've been telling everybody is Delaware over the past 5 years has a delta of 10,000 people year over year moving into state. Now, where are they moving to? Majority of these people are moving to Sussex County and Kent County and like Middletown. They're getting built up in new construction. But up here where we're at, city of Wilmington, this was one of the first cities established in America. So we don't have much land left. So where are these people going? These people are moving into, typically we call them out-of-towners. So they're moving in from Jersey, Philadelphia, New York City, DC area, and they're moving in here and they're renting in like a high-rise, apartment building. So they're renting in like a 100+ unit building, paying a premium, but they're getting a nice building with amenities, et cetera, et cetera. They typically come in for a job. These people typically look like doctors, lawyers, nurses, other finance professionals. So one of our big employers here is Chase, Christiana Care. And we have a ton of law firms here as well too. So these people move in, they're in their early 20s and they move in here. They live, in one of these apartment complexes for a year to 18 months. And then, they look around and they're like, okay, cool. I can get like a house somewhere else and I can rent that house for the same thing that I'm paying here. So they'll move out to a house typically to live there, another 18 months to 2.5 years. And then all of a sudden they wake up one day and they're like, I've lived in Delaware 4 to 5 years. Like I might as well own a house. I can own a house for the same payment that I just had for the past, 4 or 5 years. And these people are gobbling up our real estate left and right. Houses are still going. They're going at record-setting prices. We're setting records in these neighborhoods, nearly every sale we do, both on the sale and rental side. It's not like it's just one person buying these things. We put up a house, last weekend. We had 10 offers on it. So that was a little bit of a different type of product. That was like an investor product. But still on some of these houses, we're seeing multiple offers. We're seeing, very, very favorable terms for the seller. And that spring market, the biggest issue that we continue to have in our real estate market is inventory. And that's where I would like to kick it back to you in terms of, how is Compass, combating that inventory problem?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to get on my soapbox about private exclusive, but
go ahead, get on that soapbox.
It's private exclusive. I mean, I don't know if anyone saw on my story the other day, I posted a thing about like Zillow warriors and how the bulk of real estate transactions right now are happening. Not the bulk, but a good chunk of real estate transactions are happening off market. And I think now more than ever is vital to work with a full-time agent, someone that's doing this all the time and is eat, sleep, breathing this market. I think relationships are more important than ever. Knowing like, so-and-so agent down the block has a listing coming is more than ever, crucial. When you have that 1-day advantage, 2-day advantage to get your schedule in line, get your pre-approval ready to go. Maybe you throw in a sight unseen offer before it even hits the market. But for us at Compass, we have what's, called private exclusive, and it's basically giving us a first look at listings before they go to the Zillows of the world. Part one is a full-time agent. Part 2 is a Compass agent. And I tell people when they come in for buyer meetings, if you don't like us, you don't jive with us, the very least you can do is go interview with a different Compass agent, because, totally fine if you don't jive with us and you don't want to work with us. But if you're not working with a Compass agent, like truly you're doing yourself a disservice. You're missing out on, anywhere from 30 to 40 to 50 houses at a time. Mm-hmm. I think today it was 50 private exclusives in Delaware that you don't have access to unless you're with a Compass agent. So that alone is insane. And then part 2 of it is, we're on the streets. I said in my Instagram, like we are literally on the streets. I'm walking down, Delaware Avenue and I see a contractor on a roof and the guy says, yep, the house is coming to the market. I have a letter in that guy's mailbox the next day, and whether we get the listing or we present them with a buyer, that might never hit the MLS. So if your agent's a part-time teacher, part-time whatever, and they're answering their emails once or twice a week, like you're really probably never going to get a house.
And like those agents definitely serve a role. You know, we all have to start somewhere, and there's a clientele out there for them. We definitely take an abundance mindset of, there's a seat for every butt out there, right? But similar to what Mary Kate was saying, like business is just flying at us. People are literally walking into our office just saying like, hey, I want to sell my house. Hey, I want to buy a house. And then, just living our daily lives. I had a very similar experience to Mary Kate. I went and played golf with this guy, and he goes, hey, I'm putting up my house. I'm like, cool. Like, where's it at? Tells me the address. I'm like, where? That's right around the corner from our office. I'm like, who you working with? Tells me the agent. I'm like, cool. I know him. He would definitely sell it off market. I tell our team, sometimes it's okay to be second agent in. Like, once again, there's a seat for every butt. If that guy doesn't have a buyer or no one in his office does, he would love to work with us because he knows that we're going to come correct.
Right.
The seller can only sell to one person. So, if they get the terms that they're looking for, this guy, he's retiring and, moving downstate, good for him, right? Good for him. Yeah, he gets it without, the pain and the hassle of being out of his house for showings, having his house publicly displayed on the market, having Zillow, tell you, oh, your neighborhood has a 1 out of 10 walkability score. Oh, your neighborhood may be in a floodplain. Oh, here's the school district information, which is all good and relevant information. Like you need to go out there and do your own research. But what Compass Private Exclusive is doing is really putting the seller back in the driver's seat of they can choose how they want to market their house. There's no other industry, out there where, you walk into somewhere and, it tells you, oh, this thing has been sitting on the shelves for 180 days. You don't walk out to a car lot and, hey, how long's that, 2018 Honda CRV been out there?
How many people have test driven it?
Yeah.
Right. Whatever.
Right. It doesn't say that. Right. So, it really puts the seller back in position for how they want to market their property.
My number one issue is Zillow ultimately is like, we get these listings, right? We're 8 years in the business. We've been grinding and, originally the bulk of your business was buyers. Now we're kind of transitioning to probably 50-50 buyers and sellers. And it takes a lot of time to get to that point. It takes a lot of time to get people to trust you to sell their house. And I say all the time, we're a we get the listing, we dump thousands of dollars into our listings. The average listing with the Garman Group, we spend anywhere from $1,500 to $2,000. That could be on content, photos, videos, open houses, signs, food, water bottles, mailings, whatever. We're spending around $1,500 to $2,000. And that's a fact. Like I have that data. So we're spending around $2,000 on these listings. We put it up on the MLS just for Zillow to gobble it up, take our photos, take our content, take everything that we paid for and slap someone else's name on it. Literally, that's what Zillow does. They put someone else's name on our listings that we worked hard for, that we have spent every dollar to get. Zillow puts another agent's name on that listing. So when you go on Zillow, and this is why I hate Zillow, when you go on Zillow and you click contact agent, you think in your head, oh, I'm contacting the listing agent. It's their listing. Obviously, it's their photos. It's their content. It's their listing description. Everything that we have paid for. When you click that contact agent, you're not contacting the listing agent. You're contacting an agent who does not spend money on marketing, who does not spend money on client appreciation, t-shirts, all the things that we're doing. They just spend money on Zillow. They pay Zillow for your information. So we're the ones investing in the content and the marketing, and we're the marketing firm trying to sell this house. And now here's Joe Schmo agent who's lazy and won't do anything to drum up their own business except pay Zillow. So they're paying Zillow for your information. You click contact agent, and now that agent has your information. You're not contacting the listing agent who knows everything about the house, who knows that the roof is brand new and the boiler was replaced in 2012. This agent knows nothing about the house. They're not incentivized to sell it to you. They just want your business to go sell you another house. So it's honestly, it's robbery. Like it's so effed up that Zillow has this much power on this industry. So we are in, a battle against Zillow. And that's why I say, like, if you're a Zillow warrior, you got to get the hell off of it. They are doing walk scores and, absolutely shitting on these houses. And it's wild that we're spending all this time, energy, resources. The seller is putting money into their house to get it prepped for the market just to be slapped with a 2 out of 10 walk score or 30 days on market, right? Zillow is just like painting these pictures of these houses that are not fair. So when I say, the Zillow warriors, we got to get you off of Zillow, it's not a place, it's not a positive place, and it's not. Ultimately, it's just a pay to play site, and they're just taking money and data from everyone. I think it's truly unbelievable what's happening on Zillow.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. So I think Zillow is definitely shaking in its boots, with what Compass has going on. So the world's just going to continue to shift. And, there's a lot of AI and data out there who's trying to put, people like us, realtors, out of business. But we're business people first and foremost. So, the Zillow and the AI cannot replace, someone who's sold 100 houses in this neighborhood and can tell you, hey, here's your issues, that you're going to run into, XYZ, chimney flashing here when these homes were installed, built in 1960, whatever, right? So that, local value, that local knowledge touch there. And then also ultimately what we do is like we're connectors and quarterbacks, throughout the transaction. When I look back on, emails per transaction, it's upwards of 150, 250 emails.
Yeah,
so
easily.
There's a ton of communication going back and forth. There's upwards of,
thousands of text
messages. There's upwards of, 15 to 25 people who are going to touch that file between, mortgage lender, underwriter, our assistant, attorney, home inspector, paralegal, et cetera, et cetera. So, there's a ton of people who, are involved in this transaction, and we've seen the market respond positively. So like what Mary Kate is saying is right now, if you go to Zillow, you're going to see roughly 700 options out there. If you just type in Newcastle County, you'll see roughly 700 options, give or take. If you come to compass.com, you will see 750 options. If you're looking for a home in Newcastle County, price points $3.2 million down to $140,000 condo that we just listed. There's all types of price points. You're going to see 50 houses that you won't see anywhere else because these people have chosen to work with a Compass agent, and they've chosen, hey, this is how I'm going to at least start my marketing process of my home here. I'm meeting with a client this afternoon, and he needs to sell and buy, which is a very, very, very difficult thing to do in this market. And he's excited to buy. He's been sending me Zillow links left and right, and I've just been, thumbs upping them, hearting them, asking them a question or two, just keeping them appeased. And we're meeting tonight at 5:00, and he sent me a Zillow link right before we started recording here. And I just sent him 3 private exclusive links. I said, hey, let me know if you can find these anywhere else. Is what it is.
Yeah.
We have a Compass agent. Last thing here, and we'll wrap this up, this portion of it. We have an agent friend who's considering a move to Compass, and he told me yesterday, he said, I saw the writing on the wall. He said, I saw the writing.
Saw it 2 years ago.
Yeah. He said, I saw the writing on the wall. I just came out of my meeting. I followed up with our sales manager. I said, hey, how was, so-and-so? And he said he knew when his client started texting him Compass links. He said, that was it. How much time do you got for me?
I need to go to urgent care, to be honest.
Oh, who's been telling you that for 48 hours?
When would you like me to go to urgent care?
I offered to drive you there this morning. I offered you to go yesterday during your 12 to 5 me time on the calendar yesterday. Tuesday night when it started, I said, hey, we should look at going to urgent care. Yeah, I don't mess around with the eyeballs. Mm-hmm. If there's any eye doctors out there listening to the podcast, please contact my wife.
I'm pretty confident it's my allergies. I'm sorry, I'm looking down the lights and my eyes are just no bueno right now.
It's a little bright in here.
I think it's my allergies, so I need to get some fresh allergy medicine. But overall thoughts on the real estate market and the future outlook of where things are heading?
Loaded question there. So a couple things. So in the short term right now, so typically like and we're just speaking in generalities, doesn't necessarily matter who's in office per se, whatever, right? So speaking in generalities, so typically when we have a stronger economy, interest rates are going to be higher, right? So when COVID happened, the economy was in, serious, hey, what's going to happen there sort of deal. We were in serious flux. So that's where we saw those historically low interest rates because we had high inflation and, we needed to combat, quote unquote, shutting down the country for 2 weeks, right? So,
LOL.
Yeah, LOL, right? So that's why this interest rates went down.
Keep the economy moving.
Yeah, the Fed lowered the rate down to 0. and we saw, historically low mortgage interest rates. Over the past 2-3 years, we've been combating rising interest rates, higher borrowing costs, getting the economy more stable, right? So what we're seeing right now with this administration is we are seeing, a return to work, a return to office, and a lot of elimination from a lot of remote jobs over the past few years. So when unemployment rate goes up, which is one of the main indicators of what controls, correct me if I'm wrong out there, finance bros, but what controls the 10-year treasury bond, that's what 30-year mortgage interest rates are based off of. So when unemployment goes up, that 10-year treasury bond is going to go down, right? So right now that's been hovering above 4. And, we're hoping to see that, come down here a little bit. What does that mean for you guys out there? It means that interest rates are going to improve, right? So if you have a good, stable job in like a service industry, such as, you're an attorney, you're a nurse, you're a doctor, et cetera, hey, I work as an engineer, I work, here, right? Where you're going to work every single day and like you have a job, right? Now may not be a bad time to, look at buying an investment property or something like that. If you're a work from home person, we've dealt with many clients this year, when the Fed put on their hiring freeze or whatever, we had some clients lose some jobs who had to unfortunately pause their home searches, pause their home sales. So, and it's not just like 1 or 2, it's been like 5 to 10, right? And I'm sure that there's more out there. I'm sure that there's more out there who haven't told us yet, or hey, I was going to hit you up last April, but now I'm not. Yeah, now I'm not. Right, but I got a new job this fall, and I'm ready now. I'm ready now, right? So, economically, these home prices, we don't see them going anywhere. No. Going back to what we started off with, there's a delta of 10,000 people moving in state here in Delaware. Where are they going to live, right? Where are they going to live? So I've said this line a handful of times in our buyer meetings recently. We look back at every single deal we've sold over the past 4 to 5 years, and like 6 months after the fact, that was a great buy. The day of the purchase, it's like, wow, we really got that for that, right? 6 months later, it's like, that's a great buy. That house has gone up, 25, 50,000 already, right?
It's like the opposite of a car. You like drive it off the lot and it loses value. Like the second you drive. Away. For us, it's like the second they hand you the keys, it almost goes up already.
Yeah, 100%.
It's like literally the next house that's listed in the neighborhood goes up.
Yeah. So, thoughts on the, economic outlook. If you have a piece of real estate, that's fantastic.
Hold on for dear life.
Hold on for dear life. If you can, if you need to use it to get to somewhere else you need to be to fund, some sort of lifestyle change, right? Life happens. So, we have clients doing all different types of things all the time. So, hold on to it and, don't be afraid to, explore your options with that. Leveraging it, refinancing it, getting a heel lock on it. There's a ton of different options out there. We're happy to walk you guys through those options. If you don't have a piece of real estate, you should seriously consider getting one. Because like Mary Kate said, 6 months from now, that thing is going to go up. Yep. In value is what we see. Now, disclaimer here, we don't have a crystal ball, but we
don't know if another COVID happens or you literally don't know these days.
No, right?
What's next?
Yeah, you just don't know. And that's part of, the beauty of real estate is like part of what we do is science. It's looking at spreadsheets. It's looking at numbers, making sure that they economically work. And then part of it is the art form, right? Hey, is my neighborhood transitioning? Like, is it on the up and up? Are there people building new houses here? Are people putting on additions, right? Are my streets getting paved? Are my sidewalks getting repaved? These are all things that factor into a neighborhood. And if you can see that, it's like, okay, cool. That may be a place where I want to be, right? That may be a place where I want to put my investment property. We get a ton of investors who come to us and like, they just think it's either like Section 8 low income housing or like student housing. I'm like, no, dude, there's
like,
rentals.
Buy an investment property at UD. And I'm like, you want to buy one next door? You want to buy one down the street?
Yeah.
Around the block?
Yeah. Yeah. If you go down to University of Delaware, if you look back, other than like typical homeowners houses, which don't have rental permits and aren't sprinklered, all those houses, they're going to trade off market. You can look back at the past 5 years and, count on 2 hands the number of transactions that hit the MLS down there. But what I tell people is like, hey, number one, you need to buy a primary. You need to show me that, you have some real estate experience, right? That you have some cojones and you went and bought a house or a condo or something, right? And then number 2, you should look right in your own neighborhood. There's rentals in every single neighborhood, in every single price point. I saw a tweet recently that said there are millionaires in every single zip code in America.
Facts.
And that is factual information. You know, if you're in, you know, a lower price point neighborhood, say 200, if you have 5 of those houses, you're a millionaire, right? If you're in a higher price neighborhood and you own a $500,000 house and you buy another $500,000 house, you know, that's not a terrible investing strategy.
There are multiple ways to get to the same.
Yeah, there's multiple ways to get there. And when I say there's rentals in all types of price points,
everywhere.
We see furnished rentals in North Wilmington, you know, $4,500 to $6,000. We just went on a rental meeting the other day, 4-bed, 2.5 bath, North Wilmington, 19810 zip code, $3,000. Like $3,000. We gave them $20,000 worth of work to do to the house to get it up and ready, but it's not renting for less than $2,500.
It's not less than.
And $3,000 is very fair
3,
if they're walking through that house,
3,
right? So that's my economic outlook out there. If you are a seller and you're an aging seller and you need, you know, to figure out what to do and you want that, you know, hey, I'm going to sell it to my grandson, please have a conversation with us. There's ways to do it. We've helped many, many family purchases, and a lot of people think realtors are just out there to get you. I don't consider myself a realtor. I consider myself a businessman. I want to go ahead and put the transaction together, make sure that everything happens smoothly, that everything, you know, is taken care of. I helped a friend buy a family house, and he bought it for $2,000 out of pocket. And his grandmom, stepmom, whatever his situation was, literally looked at me and she said, I wanted to sell it to my daughter, but she couldn't figure it out. How the hell did he buy this for $2,000 out of pocket? And I said, ma'am, he walked into my office and said, Vince, can you help me out? And he listened to everything I said.
And you didn't make a dime.
Nope, didn't make a dime. Did it pro bono out of the goodness of my heart. I'm gonna give a shout out to Patrick. Patrick's been doing some pro bono work as well too. That's where you gotta treat people how you want to be treated, right? You treat them right, they'll come back, they'll pay your full fee. And, you know, I know if I ever bring an opportunity to that guy, he's going to have, you know, no issue blinking at us, you know, with that.
It's a relationship business. We're in it for the long haul. We're not here to quick hits with the Zillow leads, right? Like, these are forever relationships. So, yeah, I love that. Okay, anything you want to leave us with? Anything hot and heavy on your mind you want to leave the audience with?
Yeah, just been on my faith journey. I'll keep it brief here. So we've been going to church a lot. Kids been praying a lot. So having a child definitely put some serious perspective on your life. I think back to my college lacrosse coach. He was right around my age when he was taking over a brand new program with, you know, 20, 18-year-old kids and trying to keep us in line. And he would stand there holding his kid and say, if you guys mess up this weekend, like, it's not my livelihood, it's his livelihood. And, you know, I feel the same way. Everything we do is for them. I hope they appreciate it.
Awesome.
And, you know, everything that we have is, you know, it's theirs. But it's not ours. It's from above. We're super blessed. And, you know, that's in good times and bad, in sickness and in health. That's the, you know, the vow that we gave each other. And, you know, that's the vow that God has for us as well, too, that, you know, hey, you may not, you know, understand now, but later you will. And, you know, anything bad that's ever happened in my life, I can look back, you know, 6, 12, 18 months, sometimes 10 years later, and just be like, hey, like, you know, there's some good in that, right? So right now in our business, we're dealing with a lot of divorcees, a lot of difficult, you know, situations. Yeah. And I'm so glad that these people chose to come and work with us. Agents on the other side who chose to work with us. Hey, I had better offers, but I know that you're going to get it done. And, you know, I want to work with you. I don't want to be working with so-and-so for 30 days. You know, we have a lot of crazy files going on. Had lunch with
they're all crazy.
Yeah, they're all crazy.
It feels like I say all the time, like, when can we get a normal listing? When can we get a normal situation? Everyone's messy, it seems. And I think back to your faith journey, I think God has placed those people in our life because we do have good intentions and we're here to help people.
Yep. Yeah. And the last thing I'll leave us with my life verse, Exodus 14:14. The good Lord himself will fight for you. Just stay calm. God said that to Moses as he was leading the people out of Egypt right before Moses parted the Red Sea. And he just said, yo, you got to have some faith. Like, tell that sea to part. They walked through it. The Egyptians followed him. He put the sea back, swallowed up the Egyptians. And he's just like, you know, you got to have faith. Just stay calm. I'm out there fighting for you. And, you know, he's got a master plan for all of us. we're only here for a short time on earth. So, we're going to do our best to be good people and treat others how we want to be treated.
Facts.
Yep.
It's a good place to leave it. So thank you for listening to another episode of Life on the Ave. Again, sorry, my eyes are burning and I'm looking down for half this episode. So thank you all for joining in. And we have some great guests coming up soon. So keep an eye out for episodes coming soon.
I got one last thing as well, too. So,
of course he does.
All right, yeah, last thing. Shout out to Mr. Kevin Weinstock, BW Design Group. We're here, 1100 Lovering Ave, Unit 900. This is a 2-bed, 2-bath. Going to be coming to the market soon at 525. Beautiful view of downtown Wilmington. So shout out to our guy, Kevin Weinstock. Appreciate you, fam.